Welcome to the presentation for the new code reader O2I 510 from IFM Electronic. My name is Frank Neuwirth. I'm the responsible product manager for the identification group of IFM Electronic. So for my responsibilities, we do have the RFID system as well the code reader, which we have here is the O2I 510. So at this point, I would like to show you the different key facts, the different feature we do have with the new O2I 510. The new multicode reader is a very simple, easy to use system. So that means that IFM defined the way how to configure the system in a very easy way. Therefore, we use the one button teach of the system itself. So this is mainly used for the application where you do have one image and one code. So what this means, so for example, we have a code, that's a barcode here, and we just would like to make one image, one shot, and we would like to read one code. That's a perfect application for the button teach. In a few moments, I would like to show you how this works in reality. With this button teach, we are also possible to exchange the devices. Also during this presentation, you can see that we are able to exchange one device to the next one in case of an accident by using this IFM memory stick, which is included into your system. And therefore, as well, you need the button teach to upload the configuration from the one system to the other one. So that's very easy, hopefully. So as well, I would like to show you something about the easy settings. If you have made this one button teach here, I would like to show you this as well. If you make this one button teach with the code reader here from the device, you just make the settings for the distance, for the lightnings, as well for the code type. But you do not have any settings for the interfacing. So that means what type of trigger do you use? What type of process interface did you use? And therefore, IFM is creating an additional accessory, which we call the O2I Teach app, which you will see later on as well. So the mainly points, the mainly key facts for the O2I for this new generation is as well, the first big impact is the resolution. So as you maybe remember in the past, we have a resolution by 600 by 480 pixel, which is quite nice, but it's not enough if you have very tiny, very small codes, which you would like to read in a longer distance. So therefore, it's very difficult. With this new one, it's much easier because the resolution is 4 times higher as in the past. So that's also possible to read type of codes like this, which is very small, maybe 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter, also from a longer distance. Also, if you have these high reflected surfaces, that's one point. So the code reader itself, you can get it in 2 different versions. The one version should be the version with the red light, LEDs inside. You can see here we do have 4 LEDs which are controlled independently, possibly controlled independently by your camera system. This should be a red light or infrared. You can select this by ordering the device. But also it's to find out how and which one you have to use. It's in a very easy way, which we have a view in the next step. So the main points where we say, okay, that's the big point, the big key fact for the IFM devices, according to our competitor, is something which we call it's a logic inside, or it's a usability inside. So it's not only the key factors like higher resolution, higher speed, higher whatever. So we would like to make the thing very easy to handle. And therefore, we build in a logic layer, which is a small piece of software which is included into the Vision Assistant. And with this software, you can very easily manipulate your data. Like you can compare data, you can make something logical expressions inside the camera, or you can calculate with the quality parameter inside. So that means, for example, if you would like to transmit data even in case, or just in case, if the quality is better than B or something else, then it's possible to do this inside the camera. You don't have to use the PLC for this. New high feature for our code reader as well is the Profinet Interface, which we also see a little bit later on in practice. So we do have different things, different articles, different functions, different lenses. So now I think maybe you get a little bit confused in case, how can I choose the right version? How can I choose the right device? So therefore at all, you can see that we have different angles. So we have the Taylor lens, we have a wide angle, we have standard lens. And this lens is according to the distance from the code reader to the code itself, has different field of views. And then you have to be sure that your code size, maybe this is a little bit higher, bigger than the small one here, is also readable inside this field of view. And that depends on the resolution. Therefore, we have made a small tool which you can find on the IFM webpage. So there you are able to select the distance. And with this distance, you get a number of the field of view. And with this number of the field of view, you got the pixel size. And the next step, you got the minimum or the optimum size for a bar, if you have a barcode, or the optimum size of a module, if you have a 2D code. And then you can calculate very easy if you can read with this device, with this article number, in this distance, in this size, field of view, with this code size, you can read it or not. It's a very easy tool, and as I told you, it's available on the web page. So, that's very roughly things are coming up, or things are new for the code reader. Now I would like to show you things, what is the special part inside the code reader. So therefore I would like to show you as well something on the hands-on. So first of all, I would like to show you the different modes according to the different application solutions for this. Application solution means how can we solve the application if you have one code, how can we solve the application if you have different codes at the same time, and how you can select different images, how can you select the different possibilities if you would like to connect it, for example, to the Profinet interface. Yeah? So first of all, I would like to show you the one-button teach. I think the most easiest teach I ever see inside a camera system. Yeah? So easy means really easy. So for this one, you just have to press the button for 5 seconds. During this 5 seconds, we have this discontinuation so that you are able to manipulate the system itself. And then we do have these two viewfinders here in front of the camera. You can see it now here on the desk. And normally now you arrange your camera to the side of view. You can make the direction how the cameras look like, and you can make the maintenance, and that's it finished. Or like in this case, you take the code and place the code directly in between these two laser pointers. That's it. And then you have to press the button once again for a very short time. And now the system itself is starting to do everything. So first of all, we do have the autofocus settings. So that means the system itself is looking where do I have the best image, in which distance. So that means the autofocus as well. Then we do have the settings for the lightnings. So just in case we have the 4 lightnings, maybe the camera itself say, okay, I just take the lower 2 bar or the upper two LEDs, which would be the best solution. Or I'm using the pole filter inside, the integrated pole filter for the red light version, or whatever. As well, the exposure time is selected by the camera itself. So this means everything is made inside, and that takes roughly 1 minute until we have a solution, or until we have the complete application solved inside the camera system. And then the system is running, it's working. That's number one. Why? That's number one. Now we just configure everything, or the cameras configure everything which is coming from the top side, so from the camera side. So what are you doing now if you would like to set up the trigger, for example? We have an external trigger sensor here. Or if you would like to make a different setting for your interfacing. So now with the new one, I told you that we do have the Profinet, we have the Ethernet/IP, and we have the TCP/IP interface. You have to select this. And this you can do without software. Therefore, we do have made an app. We call it the O2I Teach app, and this one is available for Android as well for Apple. And with this software, you are able to select the interfacing, so you can change the IP address, you can change the protocol or whatever you need, or as well you can change the trigger source. So you can say, okay, I have an external trigger and I would like to react on the positive edge of this trigger or of the negative edge. And all the things you can do with your mobile app, with the Teach app. And at the end of this teaching procedure, you got a code. And then the same way like always, you take your mobile with the code, place it in front of the code reader, press the button in the same way as you've done it before. And then the code is reading inside the camera, and the camera knows that the configuration. And then all the settings are made automatically by the camera. So you can see also the configuration for the interfacing, for the protocol, for the trigger is possible to make without any software. But that's the point by today. So that's possible with one image, one code. So we do have this application, one code, one image. So what's possible with the code reader is more than one code, one image, of course. So for example, we do have two codes and two different codes. Maybe you remember in the past we do have had the old code reader. We can read a barcode. We can read also a 2D code. But if you have one or the other one, and the other one, then you have to select or you have to change the application. That's not needed anymore. So everything is made inside. You can have everything at the same time in one image. And that's quite new for this system. And you don't have to select this. So later on, if you talk about the competitors, then you can see that the competitor, just in case, have to say, or the user had to say, okay, I'm looking for this type of code or this type of code. That's not an automatic detection of code types. As well, we have the possibility to have different images, and that makes the thing complex. Why do you have to have different images? Just in case that you are built in your camera system inside a plant, and then you have a lightning scenario in the morning, which is different from this in the afternoon or in the evening. Or your customer is using all the time the same code type or the same code, but sometimes it's printed on a plastic part, sometimes it's graved on metal, sometimes it's dot needled into metal, and therefore it's really, really nice to have different settings for the illumination. Yeah, maybe, as I told you before, maybe sometimes it's possible that you just use one or two LEDs, sometimes you have to have 4 LEDs, sometimes you have to work with different filter settings inside the light settings, and that's all possible with this new O2I, because here we have up to 5 different image settings in one application without any changing of the application. Application changing means that somewhere the PLC, the PC or whatever is task is to change the application. That means from the outside I have to know now I have to change, and then I send a signal or a command to the camera switch or down switch. But just in case, that's made everything inside the system itself. So as I told you, so we do have the possibilities for these different settings. According for metal, it's very nice because this pole filter, especially for the red light version, we do have this pole filter integrated, are very useful if you have this shiny reflection on metal surfaces. Or sometimes if you have an application like here, where you have this glue on a product. So if you have the lightnings and you got this high reflection, and then the system itself is working with this pole filter inside, and so then you get a very clear and not a shiny image, and you can read the code very easily. As well, as I told you, then you have the different settings, you have the different images, you have a lot of different codes, and this should be sometimes very tricky in case of, if you have a lot of different codes, a lot of different images, you have to remember where you make which setting. And that's very easy to handle inside our configuration software, which is something we call the flow control. So this flow control gives you a perfect overview about the settings inside your application. So you can see the images, in a real time. Or even if you just put your hand in front of the camera, you can see that something is changed. Even you also can see the code itself. So and if you would like to change something, because just in case you can't read this code, you just have to double click on the code inside this flow control, and you directly are forwarded to the setting of the code. So you don't have to go one step back inside the configuration software itself. The system is guiding you to every step. Let's summarize this explanation, these features, especially for the complex requirements. So as I told you, we have these 1 and 2 decodes possibilities in one application, which is quite new and a very easy handling, because also if you have this and you would like to make these settings, not with the button teach, but with this software integration, then you are able to do this with the software, and the software is making this by itself. So you don't have to know which type of code it is. It's a 1D code and which one. Or that's a 2D code. I know that's a 2D code, but I'm really not sure. It's a 2D, it's a data matrix, it's a QR code, or whatever. You don't have to know this. The camera is doing this for you. Yeah? So if you take all the things, as I told you, we have different images, up to 5 images, and we are able to have up to 10 different models for each of these images. So then we come in total up to 50 different code types in one application. But that's not the end of the line. Additionally, we have different region of interest for every of these models. So that means that it's a theoretical value that we do have the possibility to have up to 16,000 different code types or different codes in one application. Yeah, but that theoretically, I think that doesn't really make sense. Nobody had 16,000 codes in one application, but to have something like between 5 and 50, that should be okay. Yeah, between 5 and 50. So that's the part of how to handle these different codes in one complex application. Time is coming to make a short presentation, and then I would like to show you how that this works before we come to the next step for the feature of the code reader. So we start with this new application. So the system itself is creating this new application, and all these settings like the exposure time, the focus is made by the camera system itself. So we don't have to do anything. Huh? So I don't touch the PC. Everything is made by the camera. You can see there are some changes in the focus. As well, you can see the different settings for the lights. And then we do have this overview about things which the camera see before we can set up the models. So that means we do find something, or the camera finds something like a code here. And then you see the settings. And then if you do not find everything which is in place of the camera, in front of the camera, you can start the code search. And then the camera is looking for this type of codes. Especially I would like to have this type. I'm looking for this one. And then I just say start search. That is something I told you in the very beginning, because I don't know what type of code this is. I know it's a code, but everything else out of my control. And now the camera is looking for everything. So it's different settings, different light settings, different code size at the same time. And just in case, it's possible that the camera say, okay, inside the application, the one code is fine very easily with these settings, but for the other one, I need a different one. And that's made by the camera inside. According about all these different setting types, it should take a minute or maybe more, but the camera is looking for everything. So for sure, nobody is as perfect as the camera itself. So give time to the camera and you get a perfect result. So now you can see we do find also the second code type, but here now it's in a second image. So now we have a typical application where the system itself is controlling the settings to get the best images or the best result. It's very easy because we do not have to do anything, just to say, okay, create models out of this. And then I would like to show you this flow control. That's the part where you can see all the settings. Also here you can see the number one, that's an image which we make in the very first, in the startup phase, so where we do not have any results. You can erase this. So that's not a problem. You can take it out. And then we have the first image with the first code, a second image with different settings. You can see we do have different image settings here with the second code. But in total, we got a solution as a result which say, okay, everything is solved and it's running. And then we do have this logic layer where you have different standard settings. If everything is run, so that means we get all this information, all the codes are found. Then we go to the pass state. And then you have the settings for the interface. which is also very flexible. You can see here now we have the start sign, which is here. As well, we do have the separators in between, which you can manipulate as you like. So you can say, okay, for example, I do not need this information here, I pass it away, and now my string is different. Yeah? So that's also very nice if you would like to exchange something which is now built in inside your plant. For example, you would like to exchange the reader from the cognates now with the new O2I from the IFM, but you would like to change your PLC software. And then you are able to create the string which is coming out of this device as you do it in the past with the competitors. Yeah, that's very easy. Of course, you do have this test page at the end of these settings. Where do you get this information? Huh? Now we say, okay, if you find both type of codes, you got the pass signal, and we would like to switch out the out to, and we switch on the LED. So you can see with one image you get this code, and with the other one you get the other ones. If you mark the codes as well, you can see the results here. That's the content of these codes. Yeah? So I would like to show you this code content later on, also in the way how to transmit this via, for example, Profinet. Yeah? Hopefully you feel like me, that you say, okay, oh, that's very easy to handle. Yes, it is. As you can see, you just have to follow this line here. So you make the image, or the system's making the image, making the model settings. And then the next step now, flow control, is just to control if everything's running. The logic, where you can manipulate what you want, or the interface. You even can say, okay, I would like to take the default values for these settings. And then you have the test, and then, okay, you say save. And go back. And you say just save and exit. You can go back to your monitoring. And then you will see what the camera is doing and also the results. Huh? So now you see no result because my hand is in front of the camera. And it's quick and it's reliable. So that's the way how to do it with the O2I, in the way how we can set up the system very easily. Now I would like to show you the next step of this more complex solution. So I would like to take the same way, the two codes, I would like to read out the two codes, and then I would like to transmit this data via this green cable to my PLC. Now I connect a Siemens PLC to my system here, and therefore I would like to start up my application, which I prepared before. The only difference between the one you can see right now here and the new one is the settings for the logic layer, which I would like to show you. So inside the logic layer, we do have the settings that we say, okay, I would like to take the code, and if I find the code, the first one, I would like to transmit this code to the string output number 1, and for the second code, I take this to the string output number 2. And just in case, like we did before, we have if the code is found and both are found, I would like to say I would like to have the signal pass. But the main difference here now is this string output containers. What does this mean? So for example, in the past or with our competitors, you have to transmit the data in a way that you have everything in one line. So that means you got the signal, like we see the interface before. You got a start string, you get the code, first code, you get a separator, you get the second code, and you got a stop sign. But that's very tricky because you have to manipulate, you have to watch to this information inside your PLC. And especially for code readers, or the code content could be in a different length, and that makes it difficult. No? So that means if you know my code is between 50 and 40 bytes long, you have to reserve a special area inside your PLC, especially for these code types. And then you say, okay, the rest is filled with 0 or whatever. And then I have a separator, and then the next one is coming. And inside your PLC program, you're always looking for the separator. That's past. Because with this new function of these string containers, you can separate the data inside the camera. Now I would like to show you how this looks like inside the Siemens system, especially for the setting. That's the Siemens, the O2I inside the Siemens environment. And then you have the settings, which we made via this GSDML file settings. So that means we do have different slots For example, the slot number 1, which is the process status. Inside the process status, you get data like the ID number of the application. You get also the information if your code size is fragmented and something more. As well, you get the data and the command response. And this should be also the part as you know it from the past. If you would like to have the data in one line, you can get this in one line. And therefore, you have to evaluate this slot here, which is now, for this example, placed at the address line 8 to 73. But if you don't want this, if you would like to have it more comfortable, more safe, more secure, then you can use this data container. And therefore, we place this container now here in the logic container number 1 and the logic container number 2. So that means if I have my code number 1, I automatically transmit it to the container number 1. And how does this look like? You can see it here. Yeah? So that's my container number 1. I got the data from the code number 1 inside this container, and I got the data from the code number 2 inside this container. So that's very, very easy. In the same way, you can use also the quality parameter to use it. So for example, if you have this 2D code here, and you would like to have the quality parameter as well, you can make a quality settings, especially for this code, and place it in a different container. So that means everything is sorted by the container inside the camera and sorted. We have this transmission sorted to the PLC. And that's the most easiest way I know how to handle data from a code via the code reader, via the line to the PLC. So that's the easy way how to transmit data. But you can be sure as well, we do have the settings and all these evaluations make inside a function block, especially for the Siemens PLC. And this function block is also available during this market launch phase starting in February this year. So 24th of February 2020, we will have these new devices, which are Profinet inside. As well, we do have these function blocks. But I would like to show you a little bit more. A little bit more means it's not only the data transmission. So in the very beginning, we talk about this exchange. So for example, you do have a plant and something has happened during the late night, Friday evening, last shift. Nobody who really is responsible for programming, for PCs or whatever is available right now. And something happened with the camera system. So for example, the forklift driver attached the camera is getting broken and you have to replace this. So the most easiest way is that you have a spare part in your plant. You replace the broken one by the new one, and then you take out the memory stick, which is always included inside the camera. So you take the stick out, replace it into the new one, power up everything, and during the power up cycle, you just press the button. So that means during this process, every data, so that means the configuration, all the settings for the lightnings, for the interfacing, for this trigger signal, everything is stored on this card and now transferred into the new device. So that means just to change the device is also done within a minute. So it's very quick. And most important thing, I think, that there's no need for the PC. You just have to have a spare part and then you have to exchange it. That's the big point. As I told you before, also the very, very important thing for the simple way of doing is a logic layer inside the multicode reader. As we can see it before in this hands-on, we do have this separation of data via Profinet. In the same way, you can make a minimum quality check already inside the system. That's a typical application coming from the automotive industry. So especially the supplier for the automotive industry have to be sure that the devices that they send out to the manufacturer, something like this here, has a quality print better than B or whatever. That's normally defined by the automotive industries. And this separation or this evaluation, that can be done inside the code reader. So that means the code reader itself is looking, can I read this? What is the quality parameter? And if it's better than, I give a special signal which can be transferred, for example, into the data container and just pick out these information from your PLC, or you just can put it on a binary output here if there is a need for. So that's a very easy handling. If you just have a look for this logic layer, which is available inside the vision system, you can see a lot of different things. You can take out the regular expression which are available so that you can separate strings by yourself. You can manipulate the strings as you like or as you want. If I told you that you have the possibility to say we can exchange the device very easily with this IFM memory stick, that's also possible that you do use this memory stick to store error images. So right now we are able to store more than 18,000 different error images on the stick. Only the error images. Inside your application, for example, if you would like to store every image because of quality purposes, of product evaluation, then you also have the possibility to use an FTP server, which is available inside. So that means now the camera is transferring every image, every result from the camera to the FTP server. When you transmit the data, you can also put the dates, so that means the date and the hour, to these images that you can see at any time what's happened in the past. The next important thing for this should be the market. So where is the market for the new device? So in the past we do have had a lot of this application, a lot of customers coming directly from the automotive industry or the supplier for the automotive industry, where they do have a lot of applications, would like to read the code. It would be a 1D code, a 2D code. It's a printed code, it's a laser code, it's a dot needle code on a metal part, on a motor block, on a gear. It's a part of the chassis of the car. So all the things are part of the market during the automotive or inside the automotive industry. We do have a lot of this application inside pharmaceutical industry. So where we do have the pharma code, a 2D code printed on the package for the pharmaceutical industry, for the pharmaceuticals. As well, we do have this target application like industrial application. Industrial application means product tracking. So for example, if you would like to know where your product is inside the product line, so therefore you have to know where is this product, which is this product. I would like to give you an example. If I would like to track this gear during my production, I have to know what the name of this one is or not the other ones. So therefore we use the codes. It's a very easy application, and you find a lot of this application inside your plans. So I would like to know where's my product at which time, or I can see which products are at a special time in a special place. Do you know what do we have to ask? So what the customer know or would like to know is a lot of things I told you are about the usability. So what's the most important thing for the customer, for the application, is how to handle this product. Even if this product is very complex, you would like to handle it easy. So that's a typical point of starting the discussion, is to ask, how do you feel if you have something like a code reader system which is available, which can start up in less than 1 minute? I think it's a good point for customer, because in the past they have used a lot of different camera systems. They have to read out, or they have to start the software again and again. They have to be sure that they do the right steps with the software, and therefore it's a good point to say, okay, customer, with this device, maybe 1 minute, and you can start your production. So you don't have to learn about software, you don't have to learn about different code types or whatever. Even if this customer has this application where they have these different settings inside the application where they have to change it. So that means it's also, you can ask how valuable would it be to the camera that even solve complex application by itself. You make the setting once and then forget it. Forget it about the surrounding, about different colors. So the camera is everything made by itself. And think, you find a lot of these questions inside our market launch packages, where you can have a look for our possibility to say, okay, how can we start this discussion? So we do not have to start talking about the resolution. That's sometimes it's quite nice, but it's not the way why the customer should choose our system. We do have this like easy setup, easy exchange. That's more powerful as like a resolution. And that's also the feedback which we get from customers. And also we get this feedback that we say, customers say, okay, oh, if I touch this device, oh, that make it's a good feeling in my hand. It's robust, no? It's metal, not again like the competitors which have a plastic housing. Or if the customer say, okay, that's quite nice with this internal yes, we do have this viewfinder. I can place it in the way that I can down look to my application, and if my returnable connectors, it's a very integration, also a very easy mechanical integration. That's very nice for customers. Even these functionalities inside the system, inside the software settings. Thank you very much.